has a lot to share today. Well, thanks again for coming here to join us. Tamara Hunt, Dr. Tamara Hunt from the Department of History has a lot of experience in using this tool called VoiceThread to actually showcase, to encourage student interactions during the online classes. And she also used a lot of creative ideas how to use the tool to engage them into a lot of the learning activities. So we're going to actually like Dr. Hunt to get started. Let's give a round of applause.
Okay, first of all, I want to say that if you have any questions the whole time I'm making this presentation, just let me know right away, because we can deal with them at that point. And I want to make sure I don't skip anything, because I'm so used to using this, that's always a possibility. Secondly, I want to say that this was not the first recording system, if that's what we can call it, that I used to record my online lectures. I used Adobe Presenter, I used the system that comes with PowerPoint, I used Panopto, and I love VoiceThread. It's better than all of them as far as I'm concerned, because it gives me a lot more flexibility, and it does allow me to get the students engaged in the class in a way that the other ones didn't. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Now, for those of you who in here has used VoiceThread? Okay, good. You're going to get a little bit of a review here, because I'm going to start out by showing how you use VoiceThread. It is so incredibly easy that you should be able to pick it up right away. Now, the USI has its own site on VoiceThread. Anyone can go and get a VoiceThread location, but it's got a limited amount of space. Now, as you're going to see when I show you my VoiceThread site, I've got 132 lectures posted there already. That would not fit on an ordinary VoiceThread platform. But because USI has its own cloud, if you will, you have much more space there. And so you definitely want to get signed up with the USI VoiceThread and not the general one. And the account is usi.voicethread.com. When you enter that, it will take you to the login site of MyUSI, because you use your MyUSI name and password to get into VoiceThread. Makes it very, very easy. Once you get the home page to VoiceThread, you mouse over your email address, which is up in the upper right corner, and it's going to drop down this box. So then you decide what it is that you want to do. My Voice is all of the things that you've created. If you want to create something, a new presentation, then you click on Create. If you want to browse through and see what other people have made available, because you can actually make your VoiceThreads available to the entire USI community if you want. I don't, but so anyway, so you want to choose the one that you want, and if you're going to create a new presentation, then obviously you're going to click on Create. Now I'm going to briefly get out of this for just a minute so I can show you. This is what my VoiceThread homepage looks like. And you see I've got 3 choices up there. I've currently got it on My Voice, but if I wanted to actually create a new presentation, that's where I would go. So, and like I said, I've got 132 lectures up here. All right, so the first thing you do is you create the document or PowerPoint that you're going to upload. So you have to do that first. Where your lecture, if you've got, I've actually done this with Word documents. Anything that you can show on your computer screen, you can upload here. And as you see, you can actually upload media resources, URLs, or you can record yourself talking to your students. I don't, because the cat pictures that I use are cuter than I am, so they don't normally see me. But once you've done your whatever it is that you want to make a presentation on, save it to your hard drive, and then you're going to upload it from your computer, just like you would upload anything else. The download will take a little bit of time. If you have a lot of slides or a lengthy document or a lot of images, which I do, it may take a minute or two for the thing to download. But don't worry, it will download. Just wait and give it a little bit of time. Then, once your document is downloaded, you're going to see the individual pages or slides that you have created. And you're going to make comments on each individual slide. This is one of the things that is so great about VoiceThread. You are not recording the entire lecture all at once. You can record a slide, stop, come back later, it doesn't matter. And what you can also do, and this is one of the things that I really like, I never finish working on my lectures. I always learn something new, and so I want to go back, and the next time I teach the course, I want to change it. Well, that allows me to change each individual slide. I can change the voiceover. I can create a new slide and just stick it in and take the old one out. Whatever I'm going to be able to do with an individual slide is something that I can do with VoiceThread. So you're going to click on Comment at the bottom of the screen. And this is just the first page of one of my PowerPoints that you see here. Now, once you click on Comment, you get a choice of how you want to communicate with your students. You can type in, and it will appear as text. And I've done that from time to time because I didn't have access to my headphone or something like that. I tend to record it. What you need is a headphone with a microphone, and you'll record a voiceover. You can also videotape yourself. If you have a camera, either on your computer or with your computer, you can record yourself, and your image will appear on the side of the presentation. And I'll show you what that looks like in a little bit, because I actually do that from time to time. So now, when you click on video or audio recording, you're going to get a little box that asks you to allow or deny access to your media. Always click allow, because otherwise you can't record it. But once you click on allow, it's going to start recording right away. So you need to be ready to go once you click on allow. And this is one of the things that I'm pointing out here. Recording starts immediately. Once you're done, you'll click on stop recording, because that's the bar that pops up while you're recording. You can either, once you're done, it will play it back to you, so you can hear what you said. Now, I actually write out every single lecture for two reasons. One, ADA compliance. If I have a hearing impaired student who cannot hear my lectures, I have a text that I can give them for each lecture. And secondly, it's so I remember what I said, so that I don't have to go back and go through the various slides and listen to myself to see what it was that I said. Okay, so when you click on stop recording, you're going to start to hear or see what you said. Then you're going to save it if you like what you've got. You're going to cancel it if you want to do it over again. Or if you forgot to put something in there, or say somebody comes to the door while you're in the middle of recording, you can stop it and then start recording again. So I've actually had to do that because I had cat problems. They decided that they were going to walk in front of the computer. That's the hazard of doing it at home. Okay, now if you do typed commentary, you're going to see the text appear as you type. So you can make whatever corrections, changes in that text. But make sure that you click save when you're done, so that the text is there. Now, one of the things you need to be a little bit cautious of is the presentation will start to run. And if you don't start recording or typing right away, it'll go to the next slide. So you've got about 4 or 5 seconds before it's going to do that. So once you start recording, you're fine. It's not going to switch. But always make sure that you're recording on the slide that you want to record on. Yes?
Two things. I assume that there's an editor so you could insert new commentary in the middle of something you said. So, for example, next year, if you want to say something new, you could. You don't have to start at the beginning, but you could insert something in the middle.
Megan, I'm not sure if you can do that. I would think you can. I've never done that. But because students can add comments at any particular point in the lecture, I'm going to assume that you can do that as well. And all you would do is let it play to the point that you want to make the new comment, and then click on comment. I'm not sure you can do that, but...
Okay. I'm just asking because I've used Breeze in the past, and so that has a very nice editor, so you can just insert things in. Question two, since you have the opportunity to update and you've endorsed that as being good, if you use the video, do you have like a presentation suit that you wear so you're always in the same outfit?
No, I don't. That is always going to be a problem. But I actually have a little bit of a distinction here that I don't know if my students notice. I have two different cat pictures. And older slides have this little, it's a picture of my cat Pippin looking really cute. And the newer ones have a black and white cat staring out. But I don't know that if they've noticed that sometimes the lectures have the old cat and some have the new cat.
And if I can jump in with the first question, VoiceThread actually recognize recording by, you consider like a slides or each of the documents that you share. So if you want to kind of, and the first person who commented is the lecture recording. And then following, if you allow discussion, there's going to be more and more discussion based on the sequence of the posting started. So if you would like to interrupt in the middle, you either, will insert another slide in between of your recording, two slides, then you can do that. But within the same slide, I will say that you will not be able to interrupt something you already record. However, you can actually add another additional recordings that support your first one. If there's something missing, from your mention.
This is one of the things that I actually learned is that my slides text are fairly short. They usually don't run over more than 1 or 2 minutes. And the reason for that is partially this. So if I need to go back and re-record that slide, it's not going to take me 5 or 10 minutes. And also, the students get bored looking at the same slide for 5 or 10 minutes. So I have a lot of slides that don't take up a whole lot of time. Okay. Now, one of the options that you have with VoiceThread is creating class groups. And I strongly suggest you do this because there's a really good reason for doing it. It'll make your life easier. You want to create class groups so that you can immediately make your VoiceThread presentation available to that class and no one else. So you can see my various classes here. 262, 354, 398, LIBA 497. And so if I want to share the video that I've just created with only one of those classes, I have to create a class. And do this before the semester starts because you want to send the link to the students right away so that they sign up for it. They have to sign up using the link that you get. So what you'll do is you'll click on Share, you'll click on New Group, you'll describe your group and the description, and then it will copy a URL. And that's the URL you put in your syllabus, you post on the Blackboard website, you send by email to your students, and then you remind them that you did all 3 of those things and why haven't they signed up yet. But another thing the VoiceThread does is it is going to send you an automatically generated email with that link in it. So if you forget, you will get that email. And I always save those emails so that I can then go back and if I need to resend it to a student, I have it right there. But the students cannot just go sign up for VoiceThread. They have to sign up for VoiceThread in your class unless you're prepared to make your videos or presentations available to everybody at USI. And there's a button for that down here. You can make them available to everyone, so all the students would have to do is sign into MyUSI. But remember, they're going to see all of those videos. Everything that anybody has created is going to be there if they've made it available to USI. So it really makes a lot of sense to create these distinct groups and make your presentations available only to those groups. And of course, it's very easy to make it available to more than one group. If this was a video that or presentation that I wanted every one of these groups to have, I just click in these little boxes and it's available to them. Okay, now making your presentation available. At the bottom of the screen down here, you're going to see what I've got at the top there. These are your options. Now, you don't have to fiddle with these, but I really suggest that you do, because the playback options are significant. Some of these will be automatically ticked, but I don't like the ones that they've checked, so I do my own. I do want it to start playing when open. There is a 4-second wait before a slide turns. You can adjust that. You can make it more, you can make it less, whatever you want. I always check show full screen when opened, because unless you use great big type in your presentation, if you don't make it a full screen, it's going to be little tiny stuff. So you want it to be as big as possible, so choose full screen. I don't allow others to download original images and documents. I worry about copyright issues with that, so I take that one off. Hide the final share slide. There's actually a preloaded slide that will be on every presentation that would allow your students or whoever views it to share the content with others. Once again, I'm concerned about copyright, so I turn that one off. I don't allow them to export it, and I don't allow them to make a copy. And all of this has to do with copyright issues. So, I mean, it's up to you what you want to do, but these are the options that I always choose. And then you click Save, and that's what they're going to have access to in that presentation. Now, to make your presentation actually available to the classes, you click on Share, and then you click in the little eyeball, the CBS eyeball, and that will allow your students to see it. But if you click on this one as well, and I recommend that you do, that means that the students can comment on it. So if you've got a lecture and there's a point in your lecture that isn't clear to the students, they can, at that point in the lecture, click on comment and type in a question, record a question, videotape a question, and I have students who do this, and especially when I've made an error. I have one lecture that I did this semester, and the correct date was the year 1293, but when I was doing the lecture I said 1693, and I had 2 students who put comments up there saying, is it 1293 or is it 1693? And it was 1293. So, and I'm going to talk about how you can get students to interact with you later. Was that your question?
My question was, so if they put something on there, does it automatically come to you, or do you have to play it again? I'm not
you can.
at all.
There are 2 things about this. You can actually set it up to moderate comments. Okay. So that is something that I recommend, and something I'm going to show you later. But every day, VoiceThread, every day that there's been activity on your VoiceThread account, VoiceThread sends you an email telling you what activity it's been. Now, in many cases, it's going to be that you've been recording lectures. But every time there's a student comment on there, that student's name and the name of the VoiceThread appears. So if you need to go, if you have student comments, you can find them very easily because they're going to actually come to you from VoiceThread. Now, how do you make this available through Blackboard? Because the students can sign into MyUSI, or can sign into VoiceThread and find it there, but I have to tell you, most of my students don't do that because it's easier for them to get it through Blackboard. So you can actually put it in Blackboard. Now, once again, at the bar that's down here at the bottom, which is what's up at the top, you're going to do embed. Now, you can do one of two things. You can actually embed the video itself so that when the students click on it, it's actually there and it starts playing. I don't recommend that. And here's why. It's going to be tiny. If you embed the link, and if you've set it up the way I've told you to set it up, they're going to get a full screen presentation. But all you do is click this. It's going to copy this link to your clipboard, and then all you have to do is go to Blackboard and embed it. Okay, so when you go to Blackboard, and I have a separate file called lectures, so the students know this is where all the lectures are. You're going to build content, and you're going to select URL, because you've got that URL on your clipboard. So, and I'm sorry the arrow is off target here because I made the slide bigger and I forgot to. Okay, so what you'll do when you click on URL, this is what you're going to see, and you're going to type in the name of your presentation. And I don't know about you guys, but I always put the due date in there too. So this will say, how I teach with VoiceThread, due by noon on October 17th, 2013. And that way, when the students look at the lectures, they know exactly when they're due, if you do that kind of thing and you do have specific due dates. Okay, then you just go to the URL box, paste it in there, and you're set. You've just created a link to that presentation. Now, there is something that I'm going to recommend, and that is before you save this, what you've just done here, and by the way, you can type in a description or all kinds of things. What I suggest you do is you scroll down to the bottom, and it's going to automatically permit users to see it, which is fine. But I'm going to tell you, click yes to show full screen. And I keep saying this because of personal experience. Some of the stuff was too small for my students. So this is why you want to select New Window. That's what they'll see if you don't select it. And you notice that the top portion of it is still the Blackboard site. These, by the way, are the same size. But you can see the difference here. If you select New Window, it's going to come up in its own window, and the text is going to be bigger, and it's going to be a lot easier for the students to read. So I strongly recommend that you do that. Yes?
I just want to say, too, with things that they've done with Google Chrome in particular recently, if you don't force it in a new window, then your student may not actually be able to view the content.
Right.
Okay, I don't use Google Chrome, but that's a good point that if they do, and that's one of the things you have to consider, is if the students are using a variety of browsers, if there is a problem like there apparently is with Google Chrome, you want to do everything you can to avoid it. Because even though I have a great big announcement in my syllabus and on my webpage that says, I don't know anything about technology, and here's who you contact for questions about it, they still send me the email saying, I can't do this, what do I do? And I say, what you do is you call distance learning, or you call the help desk. Because
tell you to call your teacher.
well, a lot of times it's a problem with accessing Blackboard or something, and I don't know anything about that. So, okay, now, as I said, you can edit VoiceThreads, and you can do a variety of things with it. Now, when you go to the VoiceThread My Voice site, what you're going to see is a list of your lectures. And if you click on this little gear symbol, this is what you're going to get. And these are just other lectures that happen to be on there. Okay, now, unless you are absolutely totally certain that you want to get rid of this, do not click delete, because it will be gone. But one of the things I do, and I don't think that this is actually cheating, I often make copies of lectures. For example, when I've got some slides that have been recorded for my History 112 class or my History 262 class, and I realize that's got information that I can use in an upper division history class. I'm not going to use the whole lecture, but there are certain slides that are pertinent to what I'm going to be talking about. I make a copy. I then rename it, and I add new stuff, because you can always upload additional slides as much as you want. Then I've got less to record because I've already got those pre-recorded slides. To share is simply to share it with other people. And edit. Edit is what you want to use if you want to go in and make any changes in that original VoiceThread. If you want to substitute a new slide, if you want to record over an existing slide, whatever it is that you want to do, that's where you would go, would be to edit. All right, now, any questions about how you actually get this up and running? And I hope that if there's anything that you didn't understand, you ask me, because I do this 2 or 3 times a day, and I might have forgotten things to tell you. I record a lot of lectures. I'm teaching at the moment 5 courses, all online. So I do not recommend it, by the way. So. Okay, well, what I want to do now is show you some of the ways that I try to get students engaged in the class using VoiceThread. And we'll see if these will actually go to the site.
And you can just click on yes, I have the time, or you can say no, but if you share it, and just so you know, while tomorrow I'm trying to add those to the lecture, we have upgraded the VoiceThread account now. It has a symbol under My US site, as well as, you know, student can just simply get that US site login, so it won't avoid confusion in the future. And you can go back to your PowerPoint and just click on that link again.
Okay. I'm sorry, Megan. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to be opening this one, and I didn't put a description on it. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually do it for edit, because I want to be able to show you this. This is my introductory VoiceThread for my class on book history, which is a LIBA class. Now, I'm not going to show you how to do this by actually playing the whole thing, because you guys don't want to listen to this, I'm sure. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to comment, because that'll allow us to see each page. And we're not going to listen to me. But this is my introduction. Now, I use this for 2 things, and you're going to see exactly what those things are. The first thing is I'm going to go over the course content and structure. I'm going to tell them what my policies are, what my requirements are, what they should expect through the course, what the assignments are, and I always try to find some cute images and things to make the students feel more at home. And I just love that ask me a question one. So, although I would never do that to a cat. They would hate that. Okay, so this all has my voiceover, and this is the image that I use now. Okay, now the next slide is something that best practices for online teaching suggest that you do. I've just told them about the course and all the nuts and bolts stuff. Then I tell them about me. That's me and my brother with a Ferengi at Quark's Bar in, what was it, the Hilton Hotel, when they still had the Star Trek experience there. And I looked for a picture that they would find funny. And so I first tell them how to get in contact with me, email, phone, when I'm likely to be around. I tell them about how frequently I check my email, how soon they can expect to get responses from me. Then I tell them what I do for a living, what my scholarship is. And that's particularly pertinent to this class, because I do print culture studies, so I'm an expert in that. And then I tell them a little bit about myself, how I'm married to another historian, we have 9,000 books and 5 cats, and the books and the cats run the house, that kind of thing. Okay, so now I'm making them understand that I'm a real person, that I have a life, and I do some unusual things. And I can't remember if this one I told them some of the unusual jobs that I've had, but I know I've done that in other ones. I've been a cook on an oil drilling platform off the coast of Dakar, Senegal. Not many people you're going to find have actually done that kind of thing. I was a ski instructor for a couple of years, so I've done other things, and I want them to know that I'm a real person. And then, who are you? What this is I, at the top, have a little bit of a, okay, I told you about myself, now I want you to tell me about you. And every one of these icons here is a student, and they're required to post an introduction to the class. Now, I think all of them did text, but here's the kind of things that they would do. I hope nobody in here works with Kim. I didn't ask her if I could use hers as an example. So this is the kind of thing that they tell me. Now, I'm going to suggest that you don't stop with this. I read every single one of these, and then I make a personal email to them, commenting on something. I may say something about, oh, you're a dog lover. I like dogs, but I've always had cats. Or I think there's somebody in here, yeah, the Cubs fan. I'm a long-suffering Cubs fan. And it says, unlike Dr. Hunt, I'm a Chicago Bears fan. I must have told them that I'm a Green Bay Packers fan. So I will send them back, welcome to the class. It's, you know, we really have a rivalry here, but I expect you not to gloat if your team wins. So in other words, I'm doing something to make them understand that I'm a person who actually is interested in them. And I have to say, I've learned more about my students from this kind of assignment than I think I ever learned about them in a class. I found out more about their goals and their backgrounds through doing this. And I do this for all my classes. And it's a lot.
Available to the other students, or is that just for you to read?
They can all see it. So now, actually, there is a way. Another thing that I do with my students is I actually have used this to create feedback for the students. This is feedback that I did for a student.
Hi, Dylan. I wanted to...
As you saw very briefly there, I actually recorded this. When I give students feedback on their work, I do a video recording so that they can actually see me and they get the sense that this is something that I'm talking to them about their work. And this particular one, I go over. This student actually is doing a paper on caricature, which is one of my specialties. So what I did is I gave him some specific information about where he could find things. And then I also did a general one about how to approach the topic. This is a slide that I can use over and over again because these instructions are always the same. So this can be really time consuming, making an individual one for each student, but even doing it once is really, really helpful at getting the students to feel engaged with you, that you actually care about them and their work. Now, another thing that I've done, oh, which of these was it? Is it this one? Nope, it's the other one. I have my students in History 262 doing a Jigsaw assignment. And what that is, it's an assignment in which they all build on the work that each other does. So I put the original assignment up there, which is analysis of a primary source document. And then I assign them a question on this. And they then post their answer, based on the research that they've done, on this VoiceThread. Then other students have the opportunity to ask questions about it. And the student has to answer the questions. So in a way, it's like running a discussion board, except this is a research assignment. And this is what you would see. I did this one particularly with text. And I asked the student, this is his particular question. This is what he has to answer. This is actually a question from another student. And this is how you would see student questions on your own videos. That they would pop up like that, and they pop up in the order in which they were asked. So if a student has a question in the middle of your lecture and types that question in the middle of the lecture, then that will appear at the point at which it occurred. So this is one way you can actually get a student discussion going. If you want to post your question here and say, okay, what do you think about this? Tell me what you know about it. Or I don't actually like to do a general question like that, because then I end up with, I agree with Dylan type of thing. So that's one of the reasons why I give them each individual questions to answer, so that they can then have something specific to say, but then the other students will chime in. I have done assignments like this in which they're required to ask a question about what somebody else posts. So for this particular one, I did this as a moderated post, so that I got to see what was going to go up there before it went up, so I could catch errors. Because the other students had to use the information that these students were supplying as part of a longer paper. So as a result, I wanted to double check the accuracy before it went up. But this is something that you can use as a means of encouraging class discussion, getting students to do group work, and this is a way to get students to do presentations. Okay, the students can go in and create their own individual VoiceThread from scratch, but then the problem is that they have to make it available to the rest of the class if it's something that's going to be shown to the rest of the class. I found that I had much better results if what I did, let me go back to Dylan's here. If what I did is I created a blank presentation, I would then make it available, and you see this. You see there's nothing here. So none of these people can see this. But I can make it available only to Dylan. He is the only one who can see this commentary. So what I can do is I create the initial PowerPoint and I open it up so that they can download images and other things. I don't set it the same as I would if I were going to release it to the class. I then give them a deadline on working on it, and they can upload slides or whatever they want. Because I would just simply have the title slide that said presentation by whoever. They would then be able to upload material from their computer. I could then look at it, make comments on it, get back to them, and then once they're finished, I open it up to the rest of the class. And then the rest of the class gets to ask questions about it by posting them on the VoiceThread. So this is a way of having the students actually give presentations in an online class. I know that there are other ways to do it, but this is how I do it. And I found that this is something that's actually fairly successful. You do have to make sure that the students know how to operate VoiceThread. And sometimes I have to do a little hand-holding with that. But once they've got the idea, they can actually do this. So I think that was all I had. So are there any questions that I can answer at this point?
Did you do groups the same way, like this right here?
Yeah. Because you can easily make it available to 3 students, 5 students. Actually, 262, that's actually 2 sections of 262. So that's why there's a Jigsaw 1 and a Jigsaw 2, and I opened the wrong one first, because one class is doing one issue and the other class is doing another, but I have them all together. So I just went through and picked out the students who are going to get that particular VoiceThread. Wayne?
Yeah, you said you had many lectures on there, several lectures. How long is each one of your lectures? Are they 50 minutes, an hour, or longer or shorter, just depending on what you're doing?
It kind of depends on what I'm doing, but I try to keep them between 30 and 40 minutes. Because actually, I better explain how I have my class set up. My classes are set up as if they met Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday. All of the lectures and assignments are up there already, and the students can do them whenever they want, as long as they submit their work by the due date. So my students, for example, in 262, have an assignment that's due by 6 p.m. tomorrow. They could do that any time, but not after 6 p.m. tomorrow. And in order to make sure that they're doing the reading and watching the lectures, they have to write every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or every Tuesday, Thursday. And I have found that this keeps the students on track better. Because I have done it in the past where I said, here's the assignment for the week. Well, that's 3 lectures and 3 reading assignments. And they try and do it all on Sunday night, which I never allow them to submit things on Sundays, on the weekends anymore. But they'd all try to do it right at the very end, and I didn't think that the quality was that good. So I thought, well, if they were coming to class and they were sitting in front of me, I'd be asking them questions. You know, I'd be saying, Denise, so what did you think about the reading? What did you think about this particular aspect of it? Well, I can't do that because I don't have them in front of me. So I ask them questions so that I can assess the degree to which they have mastered the material. Yeah?
You perhaps went over this, and I was too busy eating to hear it. Let's say I have a unit that has 25 slides, and I decide to do these lectures. Am I understanding that I can start and maybe do 5, take a break, come back, and continue? Can the students also watch a few, listen to a few, take a break, and come back and very easily start up where they left off?
They can do exactly what I did. They can pause it so that you guys wouldn't have to listen to me talk. They can pause it, they can go away, they can come back. They maneuver through the lecture using the little arrows at the bottom. So if they want to go back and see a particular slide, they can just mouse through it using the arrows until they get to the slide that they want.
And then when they play the slide, it plays your voice.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you click on that 4 square icon, it actually shows you all the slides. So you can actually jump in between slides as well. It's like a PowerPoint kind of. So it gives user a very easy way to navigate, you know, the content that they need to get to.
Yeah, and I think that my students do actually do that, that if it's a longer presentation, they may listen to part of it and then come back and listen to part of it later. I can go on forever, and my great challenge is to make the lectures meaningful, substantive, factually accurate, engaging, and relatively short. Because I know that a lot of them will have a hard time sitting through a lecture of an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and a half. I could lecture that long, they can't stand it. So that's one of the things I do, is I try to keep the lectures relatively short. I'm not always that successful, but I never go over an hour anymore. So, man.
Within the text box, does it allow for copy pasting? Like, could you take something from a Word doc and plug it in?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what you're asking. I've actually put Word documents up here instead of a PowerPoint. So anything that you can upload from your computer, you can put up here.
After the due time, is it just not available, or does it stay up there and they're just like?
Here's what I do with my assignments. I don't know, did I have Blackboard open? I don't think, no, I didn't. What I do is at the bottom of the assignment page, where I make the assignments, and I have a separate folder for assignments, you can indicate when that will be available, so you can actually turn it on and turn it off. What I generally do, and there's a separate place that says when the assignment is due. Now, not everybody's clocks are the same. So if I say 6 o'clock and a student has a clock that's 5 minutes slow or 5 minutes fast, and they're trying to get it in right on time, and it disappears at exactly 6 o'clock according to the computer, I'm going to have a problem. So I actually set it to go off a couple hours later. So it's still there for a couple hours. And the student can still submit it. But I'm going to get a message on Blackboard that said it was submitted late. And then I look at it to see, is this something that I'm going to ignore, or am I going to do something about it? Because I do have students who will submit it a minute or two after 6 o'clock, and I pay no attention to that.
And I do want to mention that even though the link disappeared from Blackboard, if you don't take away their viewing rights, which is that CBS icon, they can still find it. If they have patience enough, put in the right keyword, they might still be able to find it from my VoiceThread library. So if you really want to stop them from participating by that time, you want to, one, disable, hide the link from Blackboard, at the same time, remove their viewing rights from VoiceThread.
Yeah, I don't ever shut my lectures off, because I don't care if they go back and, in fact, I'd prefer that they go back and look and see what I said earlier. But the assignments on Blackboard, those do go off. Because if you don't do that, I got up and I stubbed my toe this morning, and I really can't turn in my assignment tonight at 6 o'clock, so is it okay if I turn it in tomorrow? No, I just have a uniform policy, no late assignments, because they're up there. They've been up there for weeks. No one told you to wait until 5 o'clock on the day it's due at 6 to do the assignment. So I know that sounds harsh, but let me tell you, I mean, I'm teaching 5 of these courses online, and I can't deal with that, with students coming to me with all of these different excuses saying, can I turn it in late? Dane?
I'm tempted to ask, have you ever gotten an excuse, my cat ate my homework, but I'm not going to ask that.
I have had a Vietnamese pot-bellied pig ate my homework.
All right, that's a good one. No, my question was going to be, beyond this particular tool, legend has it that you were not at one point a big fan of distance learning, and you seem to have evolved. And so could you comment on that in terms of, at this point in your career, what does it allow you to do, and contrast it to traditional face-to-face?
Back in the 1990s, I was really opposed to the idea of online learning, and that was because I didn't understand what online learning was. A good friend of mine, this was when I was in California, a good friend of mine who was teaching at Cal Poly Pomona had been trained in how to teach online classes, and she and I, when we got together for drinks or whatever, because we hung out a lot together, she would tell me all the stuff that her students were doing, and I kept saying, oh my God, that's more than my students do in my face-to-face class. And when I looked at her work and I looked at what she was doing, I realized I could get the students to do more quality work in an online class than I could in a face-to-face class. Because to have them in class with me and giving the lecture and then having them write an assignment, I've done that. But that's even more time consuming. So what I do is I craft these questions that make them write all the time, because I want them at the end of my classes to be better writers. I want them to be better at analyzing things. And what I'll do is, if I see some problem that is occurring with 3 or 4 or more students, I'll make a voice thread and I'll put it up there and I'll say, look you guys, I'm seeing that you're all doing this. You don't want to do this. This is how you want to do it. If I give exams in a class, I'll do a review of the exam on VoiceThread and encourage them to ask me any questions that they might have about any of the particular questions, or if they have questions on their own tests, they should get back to me privately. But I found that, as I said earlier, I think I know the students better in an online class than I do in person, because they're not this indistinguishable mass. They're writing for me all the time. They have a greater tendency to send me emails and ask me questions than my in-person students would to come and ask me a question. Even after class, they don't ask the questions. But with the online students, I get emails from them all the time saying, what about this? And I also allow my students to submit their work in advance so that I can look at it. I have one student right now who is really struggling. She actually came to see me and I told her, start sending me your daily answers in advance so I can tell you if you've missed the point of the question or if you need to think about something else. And she started doing that and her grades are improving. She actually is doing better on her own, but I think the idea that I was going to look it over in advance gave her some more confidence. So I love teaching online. I really love teaching online. I think it's a really great way to reach some students. Not all students are ready for online education. However, I would say the most important, absolutely the most crucial thing is to be completely ready to go when the semester starts. And I spend that whole first week of classes doing orientation activities to make sure that the students are signed up for VoiceThread, to make sure that they know how to attach a document in the assignments page, they do a plagiarism exercise from Cornell University. They do a variety of things so that I know they're ready to go when we start with the lectures. So, but don't try and catch up because it's murder. You'll end up divorced if you're married. So, yeah.
You mentioned some of the other options you've used. Have you done any options that are based on screen capture? So what I've used in the past is just the ability to capture my desktop and record my voice. And I'd like to be the ability to transition different times between slides, go from slides to a web, a web page, and go back and forth. It doesn't seem we can do that here. Have you compared those two options in your experience?
I have to say I don't do screen capture. I'm a historian, so all the people are dead and the events have already happened, so I don't actually have to work too much with that. So I really can't say that I've used screen capture, but...
Yeah, but if you have a screen capturing software, you can record your video and upload it to VoiceThread, and that way they can comment if they have a question or anything.
Okay, so you do your lecture as you're using screen capture, but then we can access VoiceThread as a way for them to interact better with that video after. Okay.
And you notice that there was a way to upload URLs and videos, so all you have to do is upload those and put them where you want them to see them, and they should be able to go from your screen capture lecture to the web page to whatever. So.
Another beauty of VoiceThread, you can mix and match all different kinds of content source. So you can have some webcam, talking head with some screen capture, with some PowerPoint slides, have some Word document, all put it together and build your storyboard. Like the one that you click on those 4 little squares that show all the slides, that's your storyboard. And you can drag and drop and change the order and really make that craft based on what you want to design for your student, which is very flexible. I think faculty usually really like that.
Actually, that's one thing I forgot to mention. If you want to rearrange the order of your slides, you literally do just drag and drop them. So you can just move them around, whatever you want. You can delete them, you can add new ones. If you add new slides, they'll always appear at the end of the lecture, so you do have to move them if they go someplace other than the very end of the lecture.
And another thing is that this tool, because it's so flexible, so you really have a lot of the capability to be creative. So I work with a communication professor on our campus. They do a lot of the images, kind of like a media, to encourage students to use image to describe some sort of concept. So you can actually make a VoiceThread as a co-editing site. So you give every student edit rights. Everybody upload their image on there. So they are also a co-author of a presentation. So there's a lot of ways you can really use it, based on what you would like to design for your learning activity.
I have to say, I love VoiceThread. It is better than anything else that I've used so far. Maybe there are other things that are better out there, but I find this really easy to work with. I find it, once the students master how to get into it, they don't have a problem with it. There are so many different things that you can do. I just love using VoiceThread. Yeah?
What advice do you have that helps students get up to speed the quickest on mastering it on their own? What's the best resource or advice to give a student?
I have a PowerPoint like this one that I have them watch. I put the link on Blackboard, and then, of course, they at that point have to have signed up for the group for that. But then it actually takes them through it to show them this is what you do, this is how you add a comment, you know. And if I have them do.
And their frequently asked questions are really good too. I mean, yeah.
And that's one of the things you can do in your orientation. If you do an orientation section of the course, have them go to the tutorials, find information, and then tell you what that information says to make sure they actually went there and looked at it. So, well, thank you all. It's exactly 1 o'clock, and you probably have other places to go, but thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so